Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Kereen Connection. Tired of everyone telling you to find your passion, but no one telling you how? Welcome to the Kereen Connection, and I'm your host, Kereen, an attorney with a passion for empowering others to use their many talents and skills towards a path of self-discovery and alignment. Join me as I share my personal stories, professional insights, and practical tips, and how you can connect the dots between what you're great at and turning your passions into purpose. Let's connect. Push it to the left, make it go no more. Make it like no, I'm coming back home. I'm driving all my you. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Write my name in the stone. Cause I'm coming back home. Cause I'm coming back home. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Kereen Connection. This is episode 37. And today, being that we're still in January, I have a good topic for you. It's called the resolution graveyard. And we're going to be discussing why your plans die and how you resurrect them. Listen, by January 15, 92% of New Year's Eve resolutions are abandoned. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not because you lack the willpower. It's because you're making plans for the person you think you should be and not the person that you actually are. But today, we are digging up your abandoned resolutions and bringing them back to life the right way. Because 2026 isn't about more, it's about alignment. And if you've ever started the year on fire and fizzled by February, this episode is for you. I want to tell you why this topic matters to me personally. Because I've lived the resolution graveyard over and over again, more than once. When I became a Manhattan prosecutor, I had a resolution. I was going to do that for 5 years, then be a federal prosecutor for another 5 years. And at the 10-year mark, when my loans were forgiven, I was going to become a judge. Climb the corporate legal ladder. On paper, it looked perfect. But guys, 6 years in, I was exhausted. Not because the work was hard, but because the work wasn't mine. I had planned for the woman I thought I should be, accomplished, prestigious, climbing the legal ladder, but I hadn't planned for the woman that I actually was. Someone who came alive when connecting with people and not just cases. Someone who felt most alive speaking to the juries and reading the room and finding the human connection and story beneath the facts. So my resolutions died, not because I failed, but because it was built on the wrong foundation. But here's what's different about 2026 for me. I am being intentional about what I'm building, and I'm building it from a place of peace and faith. This year, I vowed for my resolutions to strengthen my relationship with God, not as a side goal, but as a foundation. Because what I learned was that everything else flows from that. When I turn to God for answers instead of panic, when I have faith that I'm already equipped, when I trust my instincts because they're aligned with something bigger than just me, that's when things actually move. That's when I'm protecting my peace by standing firm on my boundaries. That's when I'm prioritizing my quiet moments. I do this by journaling every day, praying every day. These are the things that I vow to do for 2026, not because they aren't luxuries. These are non-negotiables that keeps me sane, keeps me grounded, and keeps me connected. And I'm growing the Kereen Connection across various platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, not from a place of hustle, but from a place of audacity. And I know I have everything I need in me to win. And I'm following through on my projects, and I'm following through on my projects with intentions. I'm doing this all, guys, because I'm trusting my instincts about my partnership, my content, my direction, and I'm positioning the Kereen Connection to be undeniable so that I can have success in 2026. What I'm finding is that now I'm moving in alignment with my purpose rather than just hustling. One of my goals for 2026 was to be a part of the Black Effect podcast network, right? And that's a goal that I would like to achieve. And I'm moving with intention. But you know what makes these goals different from, say, my prosecutor goals or the goals that I had in 2025? They are aligned. They are grounded in faith. They're grounded in foundation. They're grounded in peace, not panic. And they're connected to my calling, not someone else's definition of success or what I thought success is or should be. Guys, I'm guessing that this has happened to you too. You started 2025 and 2026 with goals. Maybe it was for fitness. Maybe it was for a resolution for a career move, a financial target of making X amount of money for the year, or something that you really believed in. And I also can guess that somewhere around mid-January, like now, it started to fade a little bit. And I can guess that by March, it will be completely gone because that's what the statistics shows. But I want you to hear this. You didn't fail. Your plan was just incomplete. And that is what we are fixing today. So let's talk about why our resolutions fail. And let's talk about the 3 reasons I've identified why resolutions actually die. And I want you to listen carefully because I guarantee you that one of these reasons is your pattern. Now, reason number 1, and I discussed this earlier, you are misaligned. Your resolution that you've set out for yourself, it doesn't match who you actually are or what you actually want. And here's what that looks like for those who don't know. For example, you resolve to make 6 figures for the year, but that's what success looks like to you. And everybody has a goal, especially a financial one of what they would like to make. But that messaging is everywhere, right? Make more money, make more money. But your real passion is creative work, which doesn't necessarily pay you that much money yet. So every single day you're chasing money that doesn't necessarily align with your gifts. So you're not in flow. You're in friction. And by February, you'll be burnt out. While your resolution was real, the alignment was fake. Now, for me in 2026, I could have resolved to be on every social platform to make Kereen Connection works. Chase every TikTok trend, post constantly, maximize growth at all costs. But if I excavate, my real goal is to reach the right people, the ones searching for alignment between passion and purpose. So my real alignment is choosing quality over quantity, my intentions over noise. So instead of chasing followers, I'm building on 3 platforms with intention, giving content, while having the same goals, but having better alignment. And this is what I want for you as well. Find the alignment. Reason number 2 why our goals fail and why we end up in resolution graveyard is because our goals have no why. They have no purpose. So you have a goal, but you don't have a calling behind it. For example, say you resolve to exercise more because we know that we all should exercise more, right? It's healthier, it's good for you. But you don't actually connect that to a why. Why does it matter to you to exercise more? Is it about having more energy? Is it about confidence? Is it about living long enough to see your kids grow? Are you running from shame? Guys, until you know your why, the habit will die the moment it gets hard. And I'm telling you right now, it will get hard. A goal without purpose is just a to-do list. And trust me, no one stays excited about a to-do list for 365 days. Now, here are some of the things that I've learned. When I commit to praying every day and journaling every day, it's not about discipline or punishment, right? It's about staying connected to God and the answers that I'm seeking. That is my why. That is my why for saying I'm going to journal every day and pray every day. That is the why behind that goal. And when your why is that powerful, the habit doesn't necessarily seem like a chore anymore, right? It feels like a coming home. It feels like it has a purpose. So that's what's one of the things that you need to do. Connect your why. Reason number 3, you're planning for the wrong season. Now, we're all in different seasons. Maybe 2025 was a building year for you, a healing year, a preparation year. And you tried to launch something massive in a season that was really meant for rest or consolidation. For example, just last week, a friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's quite accomplished. She's an attorney. She's actually a homicide attorney. And one of the things that she was mentioning to me, that she was like, Kereen, I need a side hustle. And I'm saying to myself, and I said to her, I was like, you want to start a side hustle, but you also have a 1-year-old baby as a single mom. So I really had to kind of take her back to what her reality is and show her how that doesn't necessarily align with the season that she's in. Another example for that is, say you're resolving to start a business. And while you're resolving to start a business while you're also dealing with a new job, a major life transition, a new relationship, health issues, grief, you're not in a season of building. You're in a season of survival. You're not in a season of expansion. When your resolution conflicts with your capacity, it doesn't die because you're lazy. It dies because you're trying to run a marathon during a season built for walking. So for me, in 2026, I've identified that 2026 for me is a positioning year. Not doing everything all at once. First, I'm setting the foundation, then scale. I'm focused on 3 platforms, not all of them. Why? Because I'm choosing to build consistent content. I'm choosing to build on an engaged community. I'm choosing to protect my peace. I'm choosing to stand firm with my boundaries. I'm choosing to position the Kereen Connection so that by April, perhaps my goal will actually come through. My resolution will actually come through. Then after, the whatever my resolution is that actually manifests itself, then we can scale. But right now, it's about building from strength, not desperation. So which one of these actually resonated with you? Probably, my guess is probably more than one, because all of those resonated to me at some point. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be setting, first we have to know the difference between our goals versus calling. Here's what I've learned. Through my own journey, there's a massive difference between a goal and a calling. And understanding the difference is where the resurrection of these resolution graveyard begins. A goal is what you want to achieve. It's external. For example, lose 20 pounds, make $100,000, get the promotion, build the platform. Those are your goals. A calling is who you're meant to become. It's internal, because someone who loves their body, someone who built wealth based on purpose, they become a leader who lifts others up while protecting their own peace. Goals are about doing. Calling are about being. And here's the one thing that changed everything for me. Your goals will always fizzle if they're not connected to your calling. That's what happened, why I jumped from being a prosecutor to what I'm doing now. But your calling is what brings the dead resolutions back to life. So when you're setting your plans and your goals for 2026, the question isn't, what do I want to accomplish? The question is, who am I being called to become? And what small, aligned actions will move me in that direction? That is where the resurrection will begin. So here's what I'm giving you today. This is the resurrection framework, and it's 3 steps that I want you to take. And it's 3 steps to take your abandoned resolutions and bring them back to the life the right way. And I'm going to walk you through each one with real life examples from my own 2025 journey going into 2026. Step 1, it's called excavate. I want you to uncover the real why. First, you have to dig into why the resolution matters to you in the first place. Now, go back to January of even 2025 or even the beginning of this January, right? You set your goals. Ask yourself, why did you set that goal? And then I'm going to implore you to dig a little bit deeper than that. I want you to get to the real reason. For example, this is an example from my life. When I left being a prosecution, I could have resolved to find a new job in law, which I did. But I chose to find something that was more aligned with my calling. If I had excavated, I would have discovered the real desire wasn't for a job. It was for impact. It was for connecting with people beyond the courtroom. A new job, any new job, would have just been another box. What I actually needed was a platform where I could help people see their gifts and connect them to purpose. That excavation changed everything. It didn't lead me to just another job. It led me to the Department of Education, where I'm actually connecting my passion to purpose by providing useful information and giving impact that's impacting 1.1 million students. And it also led me to the Kereen Connection. So for 2026, I have a goal to strengthen my relationship with God. And now that's a personal one for me. But it's foundational to everything. Because if I excavate, it's not just about being more spiritual. It's about turning to God for the answers instead of panicking, instead of having anxiety. It's having faith that I'm already equipped and building from a place of peace and not hustle. I'm coming from a place where I'm trusting my instincts because they're already aligned with something bigger. That excavation changed how I approached everything else. My podcast isn't just content. For me, guys, it's a mission. My growth isn't about metrics and followers. It's about impact. Every partnership, every speaking engagement that I've done or is to come is going to align with that foundation. I also excavated around protecting my peace. That was one of my goals for 2026. And what does that actually mean? It means for me, it's journaling every day to process and stay clear. It means praying every day to stay connected to a higher purpose. It means standing firm with my boundaries. It means prioritizing my quiet moments, not as a luxury, but as a non-negotiable. Because when you protect your peace, you move from a place of strength and not desperation. And that changed everything about how you execute. So take one of the abandoned resolutions, and I want you to ask yourself, what was I really calling for? Not the surface goal, but I want you to dig deeper for the calling, and I want you to write it down. That is how you're going to excavate. That's your excavation process. Number 2, I want you to think about alignment. I want you to match your goals to your actual life. Now that you know your why, you have to figure out, does this goal align with who I actually am? Am I in the right season for this? I've already told you that my season for 2026 is that I'm in a positioning year, not an expansion year. So I'm going to be focusing on building depth and not breadth. I'm also going to be building towards other goals such as like maybe a book or speaking engagement, but sequenced and intentional. With the quiet moments that I spoke about, in those quiet moments, I'm going to stay connected to God, to my purpose, and to myself. Because in those moments, I'm going to be moving with audacity, bold, confident moves, but grounded moves, grounded in faith and boundaries. And that's the alignment, not to do more, but to do what's yours with integrity. The alternative is to do what's not aligned, right? If I resolve to be on every platform, post constantly, chase every trend, never say no, never take a quiet moment, hustle 24/7, I'm going to be in the resolution graveyard before you know it. And I would have lost the very foundation that makes my work matter. So I want you to ask yourself when you're aligning, is this goal aligned with my calling, my gifts? Does this allow me to protect my peace and my boundaries? Am I moving with audacity and faith or anxiety or desperation? Does this serve my mission or does it distract me from it? See, because alignment isn't about lowering your standards. It's about raising the bar to honesty. Step 3 is making the connection. You want to build your goals into your identity. You have to move this from your to-do list to your identity. This is the difference between resolutions that fizzle and a calling that sticks. Instead of saying, I resolve to exercise more, instead say, I am someone who moves their body because I love it. It gives me energy. See, that's not a task. That's an identity. And identities stick because they're who you are and not what you do. Now, here's how you do this. Take your goal, reframe it as an identity. For example, I'm someone who. Then start small. You're not becoming a marathon runner. You're becoming someone who takes 10-minute walks. You're not suddenly unstoppable. You're someone who shows up for themselves. And I want you to celebrate the identity, not the outcome. You're not tracking days of exercise. You're acknowledging, I showed up for myself today. Now, I don't resolve to just grow the Kereen Connection. I resolve to become someone who builds a movement from a place of peace, faith, and audacity. That's the identity, right? I don't resolve to just journal and pray every day. I resolve to be someone who stay connected to God and myself. That's an identity. I don't resolve to protect my peace. I resolve to be someone who stands firm with her boundaries because she knows her worth. That's an identity. I don't resolve to follow through on projects. I resolve to be someone who trusts her instincts and move with audacity, knowing I have everything I need to win. That's an identity. Do you see the difference? These aren't tasks. These are who I'm becoming. And that's why they stick. Because they're not just dependent on whether I feel motivated in January or February, even today. They're dependent on me showing up as the person I've already decided I'm going to be. Someone who's rooted in God, someone who's protected in peace, someone who's moving with faith and audacity. That's the resolution framework. It's to excavate, to align, to connect. Do that with one resolution this week and watch what happens. Now, let me give you a full example of resurrection in action using my own 2026 journey as a template. At the start of 2026, I could have resolved to make the Kereen Connection huge, right? Win over the Black Effect Podcast Network, write a book, speeding gigs, launch merchandise, grow all social platforms, do it all fast and do it all now. That would have definitely destroyed my peace. And honestly, I would be in the resolution graveyard because it wouldn't be aligned with where I am right now. But instead, here's what I'm doing and what I want you to do. First, I'm going to excavate. What am I really calling for? I'm not just calling for growth, but impact and integrity. I'm not just calling for visibility. I'm calling for peace. I'm not just calling for success, but alignment with God and my calling. I want to reach people searching for their passions and purpose. I want to build something so solid that it attracts the right partners and the right opportunities. And I want to do it from a place where I'm journaling, praying, trusting my instincts, knowing that I have everything to win, right? And then step 2 for the Kereen Connection, I'm asking myself, what's my actual season? I've identified that I'm in a positioning year, grounded in faith and peace. Not a to-do everything year, a building the foundation from a place of strength year. So I'm focusing on only 3 platforms where my audience is actually consistent, high quality content, protecting my peace with boundaries and quiet moments, and growing an engaged community. I'm also vowing to journal and pray daily to stay connected and position the Kereen Connection as undeniable by April of 2026. Then, from that solid foundation, then we build. Then we build all the other things that I want. The book, the speaking engagement, the merchandise, the networking opportunity. That's when we build. And in step 3, I'm not just growing a podcast, I'm making the connection, identifying that I'm someone building a movement from a foundation of faith and peace. I'm not winning a competition. I'm someone who moves with audacity, purpose, trusting my instincts, knowing that I have everything I need to win. I'm not protecting my peace. I'm someone who stands firm in my boundaries because I honor myself. I'm not just following through with my goals. I'm someone who trusts the process and moves with faith. The result, this isn't a to-do list that will fizzle by February. This is an identity that I'm stepping into every single day. And that's why these resolutions will stay alive, because it's built on something real. It's built on faith, peace, boundaries, and the audacity to know that I can win. Now that is your model. That's how resurrection of your goals work. And so here's what I want you to do. For your goals for 2026, I want you to write them down, all of them, and don't filter them. Just get them out. And step 2, for each one of your goals, I want you to ask yourself, what am I really calling for? What's the real why? What's underneath this goal? That's the excavate phase. And then I want you to ask yourself, does this align with who I am and where I am? Does this goal allow me to protect my peace and honor my boundaries and all the things that are your goal? And the next step, I want you to reframe your goals as an identity, not a task. I'm someone who, instead of I resolve to. That's the connection. You're not starting from scratch in 2026. Remember, you're being intentional about what you're building, and you're building it from a place of alignment. And that's what I'm doing. And I want you to do this with me. So take this week to do all those things. Take those steps to excavate, to align, and to connect. And give me feedback on how these things have worked for you. Because otherwise, you're going to end up burnt out. And all these resolutions are going to end up in the resolution graveyard. Also, I don't want you to shame yourself for what didn't work out in 2025 or what you haven't already done in 2026. I want you to honor it, learn from it, use it as data for what's really calling you. And if you're ready to connect your passions to your purpose, really ready from a place of faith and peace, let's do it together. That is what the Kereen Connection is all about. At the Kereen Connection, we connect to your passions to purpose and remind you that you have everything in you to win. So if this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment, send me a DM, tell me, what are your resolutions? What resolutions you're resurrecting in 2026? And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's already given up on their goals, someone who needs some permission to start again, share this episode with them. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. And don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to the channel. And join us next time on the Kereen Connection. Let's connect. Thank you guys for connecting with me today. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to my channel, The Kereen Connection. To connect with me, you can email me at thekereenconnection@gmail.com. And don't forget that sometimes your passion whispers before it roars. And if you're listening closely, the next episode might be where it gets louder. Let's connect. Push it to the